It's like, oh, he's just, a YouTuber. Yeah, that's just not a reality. I can't let that happen.
This episode is brought to you by Spotter. All right, Jimmy, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
This is your third time in the chair. I did want to give you some stats.
Mm-hmm.
Since the last time we sat down together, you've grown over 80 million subs to 242 million subscribers. Your videos since that time have done over 3.2 billion views. Your top video has over 582 million views right now.
Wow. So last time we sat down was 10 months ago?
10 months ago.
Mhm.
Wow, you knew that exactly?
Because we gained 99 million subs in the last year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's crazy, man.
And you were in an Instagram photo with Kim Kardashian.
Right, that's the most important
Yes,
one.
the peak of my career.
which is why we're here.
Yes,
Yeah,
I know.
we're
I
talking
post
about
that photo. They're like, another podcast. Let's do it. I feel like before you
Yeah.
continue your scripts, we should probably address the hazmat suit and the giant chocolate bar.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Is that
that one's
not
pretty
what you
obvious. That
normally
was just
wear, or?
product placement. But
Yeah.
this one, I have two people trapped in a bunker. And if they survive 100 days in there, they win $500,000. Like, we literally built like a real bunker. So I don't really know why, but I thought it'd be funny if I wore a hazmat suit every time I filmed there. So we were filming that before I came here. So
That set was nice.
yeah.
Obviously, we're going to talk about YouTube. We're going to talk about your main channel. We're going to talk about Feastables. But where we wanted to start was with a headline that everyone read, about a month ago.
Uh-huh. I
YouTuber,
wonder what headline. What headline?
YouTuber Mr. Beast reportedly in talks for competition series on Amazon's Prime Video in a deal worth $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
Care to comment?
That was the headline. That was the thing. Yes, we're doing. We've talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
We were doing a streaming show, and we're doing one with Prime. This is actually, we were gonna do a press release, but I knew we were gonna do this podcast, so I was like, let's just make this podcast a press release. So I don't know if that's the conventional way when you do shows like this, but we've. Let me think. I probably should be careful what I say too
Sure.
much. I've never done a streaming show like this, so I don't like with YouTube. I'm super open about everything. I don't.
Well,
Really. I'm just trying to calculate how much I want to talk about the negotiations. There's let's just say Amazon will give us the most creative control, and by most I mean all creative control, and they'll let me do whatever I want. And other platforms, didn't. So there's a lot of. I will see if we get into it later in this. I don't know if we want to dive into it all now, but yeah, there's a reason we went with Amazon. They're awesome. I love you guys, and I'm going to try to make the most huge streaming show in history.
I do want to get into negotiation at some point.
Yeah,
But first,
that's a great hook. Keep watching.
what's the name of the show?
Beast Games,
Okay.
right? I think it fits it perfectly. It's going to be, wow. I've not. This will be the first time anyone hears it. It's going to be the largest game show in history, with the most contestants any game show's ever had, with the largest cash prize in history. That I'll probably reveal later, but you can imagine what the cash prize was on Squid Game, and it's higher than that. So the largest game show in history, the largest cash prize in history, and to be honest, in my opinion, like the biggest sets in history, is the biggest everything in history. This show, we have it written now, is mind blowing. Like the problem is if I say anything about a particular episode, it could give a contestant that hears it a little bit of insight. It's like it's like our normal videos, but just 20 times better. Because obviously, I don't know if that number you read is accurate or not, but I have a bigger budget, so money's not a constraint. And what we were talking about before is on YouTube, I have to make videos around titles and thumbnails, but on this show, I can do whatever I want. I can just make good content, and I don't have to revolve it around a title and thumbnail. So money's not a constraint on the show, and like I can also just do anything, which is like a lot more freeing than you would think. And so it's mind blowing. The stuff we're gonna be doing.
Can you give us an example there of like, it's a lot more freeing than you think?
Yeah.
What can you give us even like one example of like, what does it free you up to do
Yeah.
that you wouldn't do on YouTube?
Well, with the YouTube video, it's just kind of, it's people are clicking to watch a video around a title and thumbnail, and if you veer too far off, it's just kind of how it is on YouTube. They're just like, okay, I'll go watch another video or whatever. They just kind of you just have to revolve it. Like if I just got up and I don't know, someone else like Ryan Tran sat down, like your attention would just kind of plummet. Whereas the show, when you sit down for a movie, you're kind of just like there to enjoy it and get embraced. Or in a show, you're just kind of like along for the ride, and it's not you don't expect it to just be super cut and dry. You almost like when it does take twists and turns, what I mean, which is just a whole different vibe. And so for this, I can do anything. I literally, it's the constraint is I have the most contestants in history. I have the largest cash prize in history. And that's it. Outside of that, I can do anything.
I actually think that the big difference there is that the end of each episode has to operate as the hook for the next episode, which is
Yeah.
pretty different than your YouTube videos, right?
Well, we're reinventing everything. I mean, like
Okay.
we can, like, sometimes we'll start the next challenge halfway through an episode, and like how do I say what some of this stuff is without saying it? It's like we're throwing everything out the door and just trying to really think from like first principles. What actually makes a show great? Like and like now it'll probably be 6+ hours of content, whereas my normal videos are 20 minutes. So like the character building, the storytelling will be out of this world compared to our normal videos. Like the closest video to what this would be like our ages 1 to 100,
Yeah.
where with the cubes and stuff. But even that will pale in comparison. I'm so excited. I wish I could just say what some of the episodes are, but it's like with the streaming show, because the budgets are so big. It's like one episode we'll just give away. You know what I mean? And that's just kind of be like a side thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a little bit of spoiler, but stuff like that. I'm so excited.
I actually think the 2 people trapped for 100 days.
Yeah.
That one for me, like that was, I think your longest video, is it not? 27 minutes?
Well, I counted to 100,000.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
longest
yeah,
video-
sure,
longest
sure.
of
Most
the
recent
era.
video.
Recent. Of the recent era, that was your longest video. And actually one that I really enjoyed.
Same.
And the character development in that one was, I think, what kept everyone watching for a long time. Like
Yeah.
and there was a little bit of question of like, their relationship and like how they were getting along.
Do they
and all
hate
that.
each
Do they
other?
hate each other? Are they actually in love? Like there was this like a lot of interesting stuff there that tapped into the character development that I think we're used to on reality TV.
So on that one, if I would have done that video 18 months ago, instead of being, I think that was 27 minutes, it probably would have been 12. It's
Yeah.
crazy. If I made content like this 4 or 5 years ago, instead of like what people would call the beastification of YouTube or whatever, I think the videos would have done better. I just kind of grew up on YouTube and I've been making
Sure.
content my whole life. And so like, obviously I'm much smarter at 25 than I was at 21. And so like at 21, I just thought was good content. And now I look back and I'm like, even some of our older videos, I can't watch them. I'm like, this is too much. It gives me a headache,
Yeah.
But at the time, that's just kind of what I thought was good. And I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's just, if someone gets into making content at a young age, you kind of get to see the progression of everything they do on YouTube.
Mhm.
And so I just find that pretty fascinating, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
And now people will get to see it on Amazon, which is
Yes.
kind of interesting in a totally new setting. Like that's a completely different storytelling challenge.
I know. I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
And when it comes to the show,
That show's going to crush.
when it comes to the show,
I need caffeine.
letting scenes breathe, giving people more emotion.
Yeah.
That's something that you guys have started to do this past year more so on YouTube.
Yep.
There are people in television that have been doing that and on streaming for like decades.
Exactly. Yeah.
Are you guys going to bring people in to help with that? Or how are you guys going to look at
Oh boy.
ushering that type of storytelling in?
Yeah. Well, these episodes on the Amazon show are massive. I mean, we're already hired like 80, 90 people to help with it, and we're gonna need way more. So I'm bringing a lot of people in, but no, it's gonna be more in how we do our things the YouTube way. We're not gonna take what we do and just completely change it all and just adapt to how the status quo is. It's gonna be kind of a hybrid, because obviously there are things that game shows do well, but there are other things they don't. Like, one thing I don't really like is like when there's a lot of action happening and they just cut to someone in a takeaway room, clearly filmed after and talking about
Yeah.
it. Like, preferably, we haven't filmed it yet, but ideally we'd be able to get those kind of emotions and thoughts in the midst of the challenge, right? Which takes a lot of forethought and a lot of skill, because these aren't scripted. And so like if you miss the shot, well then you have to go back and get it. So it's like one take, either you get it or you don't. And that's just like one of 100 examples of ways I want to innovate and adapt, because like I know why they don't do it, because it's very hard, right? If it's not scripted, how do you get these lines you want from people while they're doing this intense challenge? So and then their heads you can't. So then they just, after the show, they go, hey, say these things to a camera. And so cut from a challenge to them in a takeaway room. And like, I might end up having that, but ideally I don't. So that's like one of the things we're really prepping for.
Yeah.
And so like really knowing the pace of all the challenges and things we're going to do, and know where people will be most likely to say things, and then making sure you have a good camera shot there and like you're ready to capture it. Because I can't go, hey, say this, and then put a camera on them, because it's not scripted. You know what I mean? So just like really thinking through things at like a level that I don't think anyone has ever thought about before. And that's just like one example of it. And then just doing that like to 1,000 different ways, I think will add up where it will feel nothing like a normal game show, but it will have the beast feel, and just look more, high budget, if that makes sense.
I also think you have another tool, which is yourself. Like you are a character in the game show. So,
Yeah.
so the reason why a lot of times I do that is to contextualize the emotion or contextualize whatever is happening. But
Mhm.
you can do that, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying like with your voiceover or with even you as the host, like if you miss some context, oftentimes you go over and do voiceover to explain what's going on in the scene.
Yeah, well,
right?
ideally they're like paired together. It's like while it's
Sure.
happening, I'm talking to them because, like,
Yeah.
again, I would prefer to while they're in the heat of the moment and feeling the emotion, I talk with them then, and we get it
Right.
like live as opposed to afterwards. But agreed. I mean, the big thing is the sets are just going to be things you've never seen before. I mean, it's actually crazy the kind of stuff we're building. Oh my gosh, it's essentially like because it'll be 10 or more episodes. I don't know like if we fully finalized the episode count yet, but like each one of these episodes will be bigger than the biggest YouTube video I've ever made. Right. So these are like
Yeah,
like
these
we're
are big.
talking monsters upon monsters of projects. Like picture our Squid Game, but like that's just a normal episode in this series. Like that's a bad episode.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's how far we're going with this, like
Yeah.
it's going to be pretty mind blowing.
So it's like physical challenges, mental challenges, and when can we expect roughly to watch it?
It should be later this year, but obviously I'm not going to put out something that I don't like. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed. Like
Okay.
it's over 6 hours of content. So the editing, might end up taking an extra month or two, but
Yeah.
it should, if everything goes to plan, be the, like November, December, back half of this year.
What does the average Beast video, main channel video cost right now?
Ooh, that's a fun one. Well, obviously it varies because like
Yeah.
7 days on a deserted island is completely different than the video we're filming a couple of days where we have 100 people ages 1 through 100 and
Yeah.
we're redoing that. So yeah, I think the average video right now is around $2.1 million just for the production of the video. And then obviously I have a lot of people that I pay and things like that. So if you include every cost, it's probably $3.5 million a video now. Which
Wow.
is, yeah, it's pretty expensive.
You remember the first time we came out here and we sat
What?
with your mom and looked at your
I do actually.
finances?
Wait,
Yeah.
what was the cost back then?
I mean, there was videos that were around $200,000.
Yeah, and, and $500,000 was high.
$500,000 was high.
Mm.
Yeah.
Can I go back to that world? Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. That was in
I
2021.
remember that. Yeah, I remember. I have so many memories of. I just remember you guys sitting there,
Yeah.
and I handed you guys pieces of paper.
You handed us your books. Yeah.
yeah, and like physical copies
Yeah.
of it, and then we were flipping through it. I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. I just
So
remember
500K was like.
500K was like a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, like 500K is like a low price in our video now. Like not
Yeah.
even the cost of
Yeah.
building the sets. It's just what I give out.
The Squid Game reality show. Have you seen that?
I did. Yeah.
The budget on that, at least what I read, was $1 million an episode. And your YouTube videos, you're saying sometimes are like 2 to 3.
Oh yeah. I mean, those are some of our videos are spending 4 or 5. Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
we
Just makes me think. I can imagine, but it's hard to imagine the cost of an episode for the streaming show.
Oh, you don't understand. Like it's going to blow your mind. Like we should do one of these at like the literal day after it goes live so I can like explain like the
Yeah.
cost and how we're building all these things. Like, I mean, I might build a city. You know what I mean? Like, we'll build a city. Like the constraints are not there for this show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's going to be crazy.
So what I feel like the closest comp is obviously your videos, but then also Squid Game, the reality show. Do you feel that way or no?
No, it's
No,
completely
don't.
different. It's in a whole different universe than what they do.
Okay, got
It's-
it.
Yeah.
Was-
It's like that, but I mean, on steroids times a billion. But yeah,
Do you have things that you liked and didn't like about that show?
I didn't finish it to be honest. So I don't know. I thought they did good at building up certain characters, and there were
Yeah.
like people at the start, episodes I did watch that I was like, I really feel like I know this person, their
Yeah.
personality. But then there would just be like 25 minutes of them just in the bunk bedroom and nothing really progressed. And I thought there were some very clever things they did. I thought they built some very interesting characters. I just, I guess, I don't know, more the pacing, but
Yeah.
also that's just for me personally. Other people might have liked the pacing. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any unscripted shows out there that you watch or have watched in the past that you do like that have been a bit of inspiration for you?
No, not really. I mean, what we're creating is just like a different animal than anything anyone's ever done. I mean, I've told you guys some of the episodes that, a little
Yeah.
bit creative that I can't say. And it's just like, it just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like it really doesn't.
Yeah.
So no, I mean, to be honest, this will be interesting. It'll be very, very interesting.
And how
And-
does it play with your YouTube? Like, will you still you'll upload YouTube videos at that time as well? And
Of course,
how does the
yeah.
show, does it intermix with the YouTube channel, or how does that go?
Yeah, well, we're gonna upload more main channel videos this year than last year, while doing that monster 10 episode or plus streaming shows. So no, I mean, I don't want it to mess with the YouTube channel in any way. That has always been my number one priority and always will be, because at the end of the day we get 200 million views a video, and that's like why I'm able to do all this other stuff. So that's why we're hiring so many people to work specifically on the streaming show. And so I have like a literal mini army on it, and the YouTube videos also will be a great way to make people aware of it. So I want to also upload on YouTube around that same time as well. So I can be like, hey, we got more over here.
And the first episode is going out on YouTube.
Yeah.
Is that
one? You'll have to fact check if I can say, but assuming they let this through, we're gonna upload not even episode 1, just kind of like episode 0.5. Yeah, episode 0 on the YouTube channel, so people can see what it's about before they go over to Prime to watch it. Which because if I just say, hey, go watch the show on Prime, people will be like, I don't know. But if I put prelude to episode 1 on my channel, so they can really understand the vibe and be like, oh my gosh, they're going all out, then I think it'll get more people to watch it. Yeah. Which, with how much effort I'm putting into this, I need everyone to watch it. Like, I am going all out. I'm probably going to film, for this like 60 days straight. And like, we're pouring every fiber of our brains into writing this show. And like I said, this is every episode will be bigger than my biggest video ever. Like, it's going to be disgusting.
What does success look like for the show for you?
I mean, ultimately at the highest level, I just want people to enjoy it. So like, success would be people watch the show and they're like, that was awesome. Like, this is, they're not just like, obviously people will watch it because I'm making it, but watch the first episode. But ideally by the end, they're like, this was phenomenal. And regardless of Jimmy making it or anyone or a YouTuber making it, this was just like a phenomenal show and I deeply enjoyed it. Like, that's success. And that for as many people as possible.
Got it. Quick break in the episode to tell you about a new AI tool that'll help you write better YouTube titles. It's called Title Exploder, and it's made by the sponsor of today's episode, Spotter. If you've been watching our channel, you know that over the past 2 years, Spotter has been developing a suite of AI tools alongside top creators and AI experts. These tools have been super helpful in our brainstorming process, specifically Title Exploder, which is now going to be available to creators with over 100,000 subscribers. So here's how it works. You start with a title. You can also add a description of your video. Then you can rephrase the title, shorten it, reverb it, or explode the title to give you a ton of different variations. Now, as you're going through this process, if you like part of the title, you can actually edit it and then use that new title to keep going. Once you get to a title that you like, you can save it and then keep brainstorming to get more variations. One of the coolest parts of Title Exploder is that it's conversational. As you're going through the brainstorming process, you can click this button that says "this but" and write in exactly how you want the title to change. It's a really collaborative process, and Title Exploder is directly connected to your YouTube channel, so the AI learns from your top performing videos. All of us as creators get excited about concepts or ideas for videos, but it doesn't necessarily mean we have the right title to get people to watch those ideas. So click the link in our description and sign up to see if you're eligible for Title Exploder. You'll also get updates on the latest tools from Spotter right when they drop.
Is there anything in it for you in terms of your reputation as a storyteller of like, okay, people know me as a YouTuber?
Yeah. Well, of course, my pride's on the line, because obviously if this show doesn't do well, then it's like, oh, he's just, a YouTuber. He can't. Yeah, but it's not even just me. It's also other creators. Like, it's, I take it very serious. This is why I'm putting so much effort and energy into it, because like, if this flops, then people are gonna be like, yeah, YouTubers aren't capable of, making it on streaming platforms. And I recognize it could either have a massive positive effect, and that every streaming platform is going to be throwing deals left and right at creators, or a negative effect, and people are going to go, if Jimmy couldn't make a hit show, what makes you think you can? And like, that is one of my biggest fears, is the inverse, which is why I'm not going to let that happen. Without getting into specific numbers, like I could, try to film it in like, a week or two, and just like look at this as, how can I make as much money as possible, and just like pocket a disgusting amount of money. But that's not the goal here. The goal here is to make the greatest streaming show possible, so people, look at the YouTuber, economy, and it's like, wow, they can really move the needle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is a big deal for that. This is like a historic deal in our space. And like in the past, creators and traditional media have tried things, but it's never really worked.
I know.
Right? It's never worked. And so this is like a historic moment, and also like an inflection point.
It is.
Yeah.
I know they don't work because every time I talk to streaming platforms, they would always mention all the previous things they did with influencers
Yeah.
and like, oh, it didn't work. And I'm like, well, there's a big difference between me and them. They
Yeah.
have like 2 employees, and I could have told you that would have bombed, but but yeah, I agree. Like if the show doesn't do well, people are going to use that as a means to be like, well, basically platforms would be able to use that as a way to underpay creators and be like, well, then,
Yeah.
So, but if it does great, then creators can use that as a North Star to be like, we are valuable. We can succeed on other platforms. Basically what I just said. So
Yeah.
agreed. Gotta.
Is there something to like the previous creators didn't have their own production companies? So like they were relying on traditional production companies to make the show and they were just
Yeah,
talent?
there's that, but it's also like we have the most natural crossover because we're already making big budget,
Yeah,
high
that's true.
production, multi-million-dollar shoots, and like so it's just very natural for us. I'm just taking what I'm doing, and then just like if you picture it as like a fire, I'm just pouring like gas on it, but the gas is from a truck and the hose is wide open. Like that's essentially what I'm doing.
So when we did come out here, I wanted to play a clip for you
Oh boy,
because this was in 2021 and we're talking about the budgets for your shows.
okay. Yeah.
And we're also talking about you producing something for streaming.
Oh really? What did I say?
Movie studio, but you're actually even at spending $200,000 for what you're making.
Hold up. The beard back then.
My
The
beard?
hair, yeah. Look at that.
Totally different guy, man.
You are. I actually don't think I would recognize you.
I told you,
Well, he
I'm
just got a new
I got a
haircut,
new
so it's
haircut.
like,
I'm
yeah.
unrecognizable.
He didn't say no one's
like
gonna
this
recognize
is
him.
this is a
Unrecognizable.
different human.
Different human.
I would think this is your brother if I didn't know better.
Dude, it's been 3 years. I've aged.
Well, you have color in your beard, and then
Yeah.
the hairstyle, the combo of both.
Yeah, I've aged.
And you don't wear like colorful shirts like that
Wow.
anymore.
No,
either.
no.
Wow,
Wow,
different
you've
human.
changed, man.
Different.
You really have.
You've changed.
Yeah.
Anyways,
For what you're making for the type of distribution you're getting, it's actually way less than
What they're
TV is
spending.
spending,
Yeah.
right?
I know. No, it's interesting too because if I go to them, I'm like, hey, just for fun, I
Yeah.
ask like, hey,
Yeah.
you want to give me some money to produce a TV show? And I'm like, no. It's like, oh, it's like, okay, I guess I'll just. I have no interest in doing that type of stuff,
Yeah.
but it's funny because sometimes I poke at them to like see if they'll give me money, and
And no one is
no,
interested.
I guess they
The
just
pokes
don't
work.
believe that I can do dope stuff with like $1 million. Like even just something as simple as like $1 million an episode.
yeah, no, agreed. Back
Yeah.
then, I had no interest in doing a streaming show because back then on my YouTube channel, I was struggling just to barely keep up.
Right.
Which I mean, I guess I still am, but the difference is, how many views of video was I doing back then? Like 10?
10.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, now we're doing on an average video of 200, 250 million, like every single video. So we've just gotten so much bigger where platforms are taking us more serious. Like back then, it was like a deal for me back then to do something on a streaming platform would have been, they tell me what I spend the money on. They tell me like what this thing is. Like I would have to write the whole show line by line, borderline script it, and then they'd have to go through and redline it. And then like all this stupid stuff, like there would have been no creative control. It would have been Beast Games, but whatever platform would have like told me what to say and do, what the challenges are. It would have been cringe. Like, why do they know better than me? So that's why I was so disinterested back then because, it's cliche, but I didn't have the leverage to say, hey, I know what I'm doing. Look, just trust me. No one would trust me. Now, I mean, a lot of them still didn't trust me, but one of them did. Amazon. I love you, Amazon. So now it's a lot more exciting because when I can just do whatever I want and just do what I think is a great show, which is why 200 million people show up to watch every single one of our videos, then it's like infinitely more exciting instead of, a world where I could put all this time, effort, and money into something and then an exec could just go, I don't like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, which I don't even. Anyways, don't get me started. Like, I feel like I've proven myself at this point, so it's still crazy, but whatever.
When
Yeah.
it came to the negotiation, what was
Yeah.
most important to you?
Oh,
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the list of 3.
You okay?
Money,
Mhm.
creative control,
Mhm.
ownership.
Ooh, money, creative control. The first one's easy. Creative control. Like, if there's no creative control, but it's not even creative control. There's just no control of every single frame that's going out of the show. Then I'm not doing it. Like, it's like there's no way I'm coming from YouTube where I can just do whatever I want in the videos, and then to a world where someone else tells me, because that's just not fair to the audience, right? They're trusting when they come over that it's content that I back. And like, I just don't care what some exec says is good content. Like, I literally couldn't care less. You know what I mean? I just want to make, which is what I do on YouTube, what I think is great content, what I really think the fans will enjoy, and innovative, push boundaries, etc. So control, of course. And then the ownership of money, it's like, it's hard because I still reinvest everything my YouTube channel makes. Like, people don't believe it when I say that. People didn't believe it when I said that 4 years ago,
Yeah.
but still to this day, I just pour it all back in. So money to me is just a means to make great content. And so money was creative control and then control over the IP, of course, would be number 2, because obviously I don't want someone to be able to, but they're kind of the same thing, because I don't want, so those two, yes. And then the money, I just want as much as possible so I can make the show as good as possible, but not from the standpoint of making money. So that would be the third, but it's also equally important because, an extra $20 million allows me to, make that prize pool way bigger and do a bunch of other stuff,
I mentioned those 3 because I assume you got to a place where you're happy with all 3 of those.
Oh, I'm very happy. Yeah.
And I feel like the reason that a lot of creators don't succeed when they work with a streamer or with traditional media is because they end up having to give up creative control.
Yep.
They don't have ownership over the IP. They create some new joint IP.
Yep.
And the last one being
money.
The last one being money.
Yeah.
The money is actually not that great in comparison to what they can make on YouTube if they're a YouTube creator at a certain scale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, agreed. And that's I don't know how hard I want to go at them right now, but it's pretty interesting because I mean, obviously I'm the biggest YouTuber in the world. So just by nature, I will have more leverage than anyone else. And even me, I'm having to tell these people why they should just let me do what I think is good content because I've built the track record of it and I've proven myself. I've proven myself more than any YouTuber could ever, hope to prove themselves. And even with me, a lot of platforms are just they just don't trust you and they want creative control and they want control. The bigger one is control of the edit. So if they don't like things, they cut it out or they can make you put things in or, fabricate things if they wanted to. Not that might be why they won, but that's just a thing they can. If they have control of the edit, you basically decide everything, the narrative, what goes in, what goes out. You can, and so, if I'm struggling to get that as Mr. Beast, then I couldn't fathom someone with a couple million subscribers or 20 million subscribers. It's pretty wild because that also there's just the waterfall of why that's a bad idea is I could talk for hours on because obviously then you're less passionate about it and I can't bring up examples from other creators, but obviously I've talked to a bunch of other creators that did shows and that's a very reoccurring theme, especially with a certain platform that we don't need to go in depth on, but that they didn't give up the platform, had the control over the edit and then the jokes were removed. They forced them to put certain things in that, because the quotas and other stuff. And it's just just kills the vibe and it doesn't feel like their show anymore. And then it flops and the creator's well, yeah, because, this isn't what my fans were expecting. Yeah. And that's a reoccurring theme. So hopefully if this does well, I would love to, because I can't talk too much game because I need it to crush first. The more I say now, if it ends up flopping, I'm screwed. You know what I mean? I already said so much, but hopefully it ends up crushing and then people can go look, they trusted Jimmy and look what he delivered. Trust me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's also a little bit too, if you want them to be more trusting, you're probably, especially if you're smaller and you haven't proven yourself on YouTube as much, probably just need to take a little bit less of a pay cut. Because the more you're going to push these platforms for a season 1 of something you haven't proven, the more they're going to want control to kind of hedge their bet. But if you're hey, let me prove myself on season 1, I'll take a little less money. And then if I crush it, season 2, just pay me what I'm worth and you get a deal like that. I think that also would help creators. But if you ask for the world on season 1 and they have nothing to base it off of because you've never done anything on streaming,
of course.
Then obviously they're going to be okay, well now we're a little scared.
Yeah.
We want some control. But, so then just take your number, cut it in half and then just say, hey, season 2, pay me what I'm worth. And then, in season 2, they'll be way more trusting because they have a thing they can reference, if that makes sense. So it is a little bit in negotiations there too. And a lot of creators haven't done these kind of high level, very intense, things. And there's very serious ramifications because some of these deals, they'll own the IP for 10 seasons. You know what I mean? And if you're making a season every 18 months, that's basically your life,
Mm-hmm.
And so there's they don't understand the ramifications of that and a bunch of other waterfall stuff. It's stuff we just don't deal with over here on YouTube. And the thought of really realizing if I signed the wrong deal and this show does well, they just own me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so you got to negotiate very hard, which a lot of people makes them uncomfortable,
Yeah.
I'm assuming you were actively negotiating.
Oh, of course.
It sounds like.
This is my first time stepping out of the YouTube lane. I've been 14 years nonstop this way. And I'm I'll go dip my toe over here a little bit, but it's very scary. Yeah.
What did you learn about negotiating?
I mean, most of it was what I said there. Because I could have obviously pushed for more and more money, but the more you push, the less control they're going to give you. So it's kind of hey, let me just prove myself and then we'll talk for season 2 and stuff like that. And also Amazon was just great. It's it was they're just letting me do whatever I think is great content and